So picking up from the end of the previous chapter, they're meeting up with Tengen, and we're straight up getting a name reveal on the brain here, and that is Kenjaku. So we could just refer to him or them as Kenjaku, and he is no longer the brain at this point. So after this, we're getting an explanation as to why Tengen looks the way that he does. And it's because of Toji killing Riko and stopping the merging of Tengen with her, the star plasma vessel. And because of that, due to the stipulation of his immortality curse technique, after 500 years he begins to have a forced evolution. And as he says, my aging accelerated and my self-awareness as an individual diminished. The very world became myself. But let me also go into what he says later on regarding what he is. So he says, I am not what you see before you at this moment. My evolved soul exists all around us. As I said, myself is now the world itself. So what does this mean? Well, I guess it means that Tengen's forced evolution has made him some kind of omnipresent, ethereal presence that exists. He's pretty much just an abstraction at this point, but still has some kind of sentience or something. I mean, considering that he's able to have this localized conversation and interaction here. And of course, that's due to him being a master of barriers, which we'll get into. But going further, Fushiguro begins to ask him like, hey, what's Kenjaku's objectives and how do we open the prison realm? The two main reasons they came here. And Tengen's like, whoa, before I answer that, I've got two stipulations. Two of you are going to need to stay here and be guards. And later on, it's going to be revealed why exactly he needs guards there. But anyway, he reveals Kenjaku, the brain's ultimate plan here, which is his objective is to force the evolution of all human beings throughout the land of Japan. And it's also being revealed why Kenjaku didn't use Tengen's barrier as like a conduit in chapter 136. And it's simply just because he lacked the cursed energy to be able to do that. And simply triggering an evolution in each individual with a cursed technique is incredibly inefficient. So then he reveals that the crux of Kenjaku's plan here is for him to merge mankind with Tengen. And they begin to question if that's even possible, because obviously it was established at this point that only the star plasma vessel can merge with Tengen. And apparently that was the case, but now that he has evolved to this abstraction, the very world itself, it's now possible for him to merge with someone other than the star plasma vessel. But not only that, he can just merge with the population apparently. But going further into what he is, he says, you know, I possess barrier technique, so I'm able to maintain this form and self-control even after evolving. So I guess this is kind of nullifying the whole thing about him becoming a threat to humanity, and it goes back to him potentially becoming a threat to humanity if he wasn't able to maintain self-control here. But in theory, if Kenjaku gets what he wants and he does merge with humanity, it would only take for one of these people to rage out of control for the world to end, because there would no longer be a barrier in between individuals and it would just spread and therefore just cause the apocalypse, I guess. And then Maki asks like, so why don't you just refuse the merger? And then Tengen's like, well, I can't, because now that I've evolved, I am more cursed spirit than human being. Therefore, he is a target to Kenjaku's current ability in Geto's body, which is cursed spirit manipulation. Therefore, he wants to use that ability to take Tengen and use him to use with the population and bring forth his plan of evolving mankind. And this is also why Tengen sealed off the corridor, because you know, he's worried about Kenjaku randomly showing up, and also why he needs two of them to stay there as his guards to help him in case Kenjaku shows up and straight up, you know, sucks him up. But then we're going into the history of Kenjaku's plan. So this has been very long in the making, like over 1,000 years, because Kenjaku himself is over 1,000 years old, it's revealed. But not only that, but at some point in the past, he was involved with Sukuna. Big surprise, considering that he has ties with Urarame. And then it's asked, like, well, if he's had like over 1,000 years to construct this plan, why is it only working now? He's just simply been trying to make it work for over 1,000 years, but this is like the perfect time that all of the pieces have fallen into place. And over that time, he's been foiled by like previous previous users of the Six Eyes. And that being said, he was able to take them down as well, along with killing, you know, former star plasma vessels, you know, in a way to, you know, try to get Tengen to force evolve. Another interesting thing that I think is being revealed here for the first time is that apparently there can only be one Six Eyes user like in existence at a time. But anyway, we're coming to the moment of just hyper coincidence that conveniently falls in line with what Kenjaku ultimately wanted here, and it's what we see in Gojo's past arc. And that's first of all Toji, our boy, showing up, killing Rico, the star plasma vessel, and forcing the evolution of Tengen. And then number two, our other boy, real Geto, having cursed manipulation. Then he was able to get the prison realm 6 years ago, so all he had to do was just take Geto's body and then seal Gojo in the prison realm. And then over 1,000 years of work was finally going to pan out. So then Fushiguro asks, okay, so why the culling game then? And Tengen says it is not impossible to merge with someone other than a star plasma vessel, but it is highly unlikely and would be incomplete at present. The culling game uses the player's cursed energy and the boundaries binding barriers in a ritual for conveying the human beings of this country to the other side. Through that custom, he will begin the merging with me. So yeah, that's the whole point of the culling game here, is to kind of just kickstart the merging with Tengen here to ultimately have him merge with all of the population. But first he needs to start off with like this concentrated group that is coming from the culling game, which lines up with exactly what Tengen is saying here, breaking in the body prior to merging. But going further, he says in order to perform the culling game, Kenjaku has undertaken certain binding vows. One stipulates that he is not the game master. We did not know this. So that means even if you kill Kenjaku, the culling game will not end. And then we're finding out, which may be a pretty tragic plot point here, and that the game will continue until all of the players are dead or all the players refuse participation and die. But anyway, they ultimately decide that using the sixth rule, where, you know, spending 100 points, they can negotiate with the game master to add a new rule to the culling game. They want that rule to have the ability for like Sumiki and the other unwilling participants to be able to get out of it. So then we find out that Tsukumo and Choso are going to be Tengen's guardians here. And then he pulls out of nowhere the back of the prison realm. So essentially what this thing is just a backdoor to the prison realm, meaning that they don't need to get like the tangible object that Kenjaku has currently. Now that they have this, it's basically like a wormhole to that. However, the only way to forcefully open it is with two items that we've seen before. The inverted spear of heaven, the tool that Toji used to defeat Gojo, which nullifies curse techniques, and then the other thing was a black rope, that item that we saw Miguel using against Gojo. However, Gojo sealed or destroyed both of these items. And then also it's revealed that the mission that Okkotsu was on with Miguel in Africa was looking for more black ropes, which apparently they weren't able to find. So that ultimately leads them with one last option, and that's to find a curse technique user who has the ability to extinguish curse techniques. And this person is coincidentally participating in the culling game. And it's also a sorcerer from 1,000 years ago who calls herself an angel, and her real name is Hana Kurusu, and that's where the chapter ends. So basically what they had to do here is find Hana and then convince her to use her ability on the back door of the prison realm to free Gojo. So who is this Hana Kurusu, or the angel, and how is she still alive considering that she's from 1,000 years ago? Well, I'm assuming that she's a part of the binding vows that Kenjaku was talking about in chapter 136, because he says the curse objects that I provided are what's left of sorcerers I painstakingly made vows with a millennium ago. So I'm assuming that she is one of those beings from the cursed objects, obviously attached to one of these binding vows. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff in the comments, guys. A lot to talk about. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.